Yeah, look what's happening in North Africa.
Look at it. Yeah. Um, so
It's
let's
a new
talk about
that
weather.
was let me throw one thing. That was the Roman grow zone. That used to be the Roman grain growing zone. And it looks right now that was we're repeating a 2,000 or a 4,000 year rainfall recurrence pattern happening in North Africa. So North Africa is going to become much, much wetter, as well as the Sahel, all the way over to Sudan. That is going to become a new breadbasket for the world. And the reports and the numbers that I've crunched and talking with others, if they truly bring it out with primary water sources from Libya and they put out the canals, that it could be one of the world's largest built-out projects for water irrigation canals across all of the Sahel and all of North Africa, it will be a bigger grain producer than all of North America combined.
Interesting. Well, first of all, thank you for coming on, David. It's a really a special treat for me. And I like your research and following you. I think that you have the tenacity that I think with many people that try to bring out the facts that you have to have. You just have to be tenacious. And hey, I'm looking forward to it. So thank you for being on.
Yeah, I've been watching your stuff as well, and you have a lot of really good ideas out there that kind of mesh in. If we're taking a wider scope look than just an individual, like laser point focus, it seems that a lot of what you talk about and a lot of what I talk about seem to sync together, and that's why I thought tonight's conversation was going to be just like nonstop between ideas bouncing back and forth that are building off of each other as we move through the conversation tonight.
It's fascinating. You're in Taiwan, and it's that the fact that the Chinese. These cats are doing some weird stuff over there. I mean, I paid to get onto the academic servers so I can read papers that are circulating in the academic circles. These Chinese, man, they're trying to really break this barrier of what they call the life barrier. They really want to capture that. And that's led me to a thought that as we see us entering into the grand solar minimum, our star, we've never gone I think through what have humans been involved in the grand solar minimums? What has that done on civilization?
Yeah, and these are really easy to trace back through history as well. We come to these apexes like we are right now.
Yep.
When the grand solar minimums come, we drop into a dark age. Because three things are going to happen as we move forward into this. And it's not about fear. I look at it as the greatest opportunity in human history because we're more interconnected now. We have more resources, and there's so much more with technology than we ever had before.
Yeah, I'm an entrepreneur. I have no fear. So it's an opportunity.
It is. It is really the greatest opportunity in human history if you know what is going to happen. Now, is it going to happen exactly as it did in the 1600s, the 1300s, 800 AD, 400 AD? No. But it's going to be very similar. You're going to have some of these same things happen, and people are going to have needs that they need met. There's going to be constriction and choke points that need solving some of their problems. Population migration. People are going to start moving because power grids are going to start going down, or economic livelihood will be swooped away where nobody will have jobs. That's fine. Food prices are going to rise exponentially. That's going to draw from the greater economy because you need to eat every day. That's the problem. People need to eat every day. You can only come down to eating 2 meals a day, and then if you go below that, you get weak and sick, and that's where all these plagues came from. People just didn't have enough nutrition in their body. And then thirdly, economic contraction. Now, when I say economic contraction, I'm talking 90% contraction, everything else outside of food dying on the vine. Because you have a choice of starving to death or buying a new TV. You have a choice of starving to death or buying a new house, a new car, a new anything, or you starve to death, or your family starves. What are you going to choose, really? You're going to put all that money into food. So you're going to watch all this, larger economies go food, and everything involved in the vertical chain of food delivery, distribution, storage, warehousing, growing, and all these new mediums coming out, vertical agriculture and retrofitting shopping malls, building parking garages, caves like we're trying to do. And everything that requires electrical source into that, that's going to be the new gold mine and the gold rush, if you will. Food is going to be more valuable than energy. I could give you free electricity, free oil, free gasoline, but if you're starving, that means nothing to you. Nothing at all. You got to have food first because the society revolves around food. Basically, A country's wealth is truly its food production. And you look around the planet, there's only 8 countries that really have enough food to keep exporting to feed the rest of the planet. Almost every other country relies on those 8 countries to supplement what they grow internally. And I encourage you to do your own research to see which countries are most at risk. If the credit system locks up, they're going to starve. It's going to be like a siege where they're not going to be able to get food in.
Henry Kissinger, Houston, Texas, 1974, said in the forum that the future wars would be based on food. And he said the country that dominates the food will be the new superpower.
Yeah, look what's happening in North Africa.
Look at it, yeah. So let's talk about weather.
Let me throw one thing. That was the Roman grow zone. That used to be the Roman grain growing zone. And it looks right now that we're repeating a 2,000 or a 4,000 year rainfall recurrence pattern happening in North Africa. So North Africa is going to become much, much wetter, as well as the Sahel, all the way over to Sudan. That is going to become a new breadbasket for the world. And the reports and the numbers that I've crunched and talking with others, if they truly bring it out with primary water sources from Libya, and they put out the canals that could be one of the world's largest built-out projects for water irrigation canals across all of the Sahel and all of North Africa, it will be a bigger grain producer than all of North America combined. Because they have more sunlight and they have 2 growing seasons, solid 6 months, you know?
Holy crap, I hadn't even, this is interesting because that is, geopolitically, that's a major shift.
Well, look, while there's unchecked immigration, they don't want the resistance fighters there. They're getting them all out. Like, go take boats, go anywhere else you can, because we're coming into different grow zones. You're not going to be there. That's a one-way trip. Look how many millions of men have been extricated from that area. They're not coming back. This whole thing I've been talking about, you know, I don't talk about it too much on some certain channels. I just can't. But that is, in my personal opinion, why there's so much unchecked. They're exiting the resistance fighters out of the grow zones before the grow zones emerge as the new breadbaskets of the planet, which they're starting to right now. I give it another 2 years and we'll start to see. Like, look at the desert southwest of the United States. Yeah. The North American monsoon shifting, and that whole area is becoming wet, wet, wet. There's all kind of crazy good stuff growing there. Oman and Yemen and that southern part of Saudi Arabia, the new intertropical convergence zone shift up there, 3rd year in a row, record rains. There's even lakes forming out there in the desert. Those camel and the herders out there haven't had to buy feed in almost 3 years. They used to have to go and buy, you know, the fodder for their camels and goats and whatever else out there. They haven't had to in 3 years. It's been a boom for the agricultural business out there. They got the port, new ag zones emerging, and gee, why is the everywhere you look, Iran, Yemen, and then let's say talk about Iran and Pakistan and Afghanistan, all-time record rains. They had so much rain that they don't have records of so much rain even going back to the Silk Road trading days. When you think about that whole area becoming a new grow zone down there as well, we're really there to fight and energy, or are we there trying to get the food? Because like you said, whoever controls the food in the future will be the superpower. If you don't have access to it, your country, it absolutely implodes. You're going to turn it, it'll be worse than a third world. There'll be very few people left. You'll be starving. And starving people are unpredictable, angry. That's why I see the police state's been set up. Like all these things start to dovetail.
Yeah.
Well, who would have known the cycle was going to occur right now, and it's been taking 20 years? It just seems so normal. Nobody's asking enough questions like, why has there been a police state slowly dripped in for the last 20 years? Now when you start to see the grand solar minimum and you start to understand starvation, lacks, shortages of food, and angry people who are hungry that will kill to keep their family alive, you're going to need to control them. So here we go. Police state's already here. Imagine that. You didn't need to just come up with it one day. It's already in place. You know, there's too much of this randomness.
The thing that I'm seeing in, you know, the cosmic world, you know, as far as where our sun, we know it's heading that direction. But here's the thing that I keep on thinking as we've been talking. The increase of cosmic rays, I have alerts now that, you know, and you can see it now in the telemetry, it's becoming, every day it's increasing, the cosmic ray spikes. And they have found an interesting potential side effects for humans because before, they never got down to the ground. They're coming now down to the ground. In fact, they say the Earth in Antarctica is actually emitting them. But it does something for us with humans. It drives us crazy. Did you know that? The side effects of this is the fact that it apparently raises anxiety levels in humans. I'm looking at this scenario, David. It's it's going to be a challenge, but I think it's one that, as you said, there are immense opportunities to help people here. New technologies. I think that there is the availability, but I don't know.
Yeah, if you really take a little further step back and you start to say, all right, if governments on our planet knew that this was recurring and that the actual real pivot point was going to occur around this time, 2020, 2021, how would you, if you were a global leader, try to get ready for your society without causing panic all the way through to this readiness point to right now when we really start to need to implement all of these things? And how would you keep your societies together? And now we got all this schizophrenia and the craziness. And if you haven't noticed, there's been a real uptick in the last couple of years. So
it's nuts.
Yeah, no better way to say freaking out. I guess that's the best way I can put it.
You know, I can't help but think, you know, as a planet, we are all one species, but something tells me, my friend, that the Georgia Guidestones are going to play a role into here, that they've seen this. And, you know, this is completely off the track on this, but yet it's connected. The United States is in, I saw that I froze. Did I freeze?
No, you're still there.
Okay, it's
oh, you're frozen, but I can still hear your voice.
Yeah, I can still see that. Isn't that odd? It's now I'm not even there. But you can hear me, right?
Yeah, you're still on the screen on my end. So you're
okay,
just frozen.
I'm just not seeing it on this end. So I completely lost my train of thought, David. There you go.
Georgia Guidestones. Georgia.
Yeah,
been there too, so.
The United States is in a rapid military buildup. We're stockpiling, and I don't know, call me just a little paranoid, but I can't help but not think that we're seeing potentially an alternative plan to help, how should we say, take out some of the numbers. Just a thought.
I've been to the Georgia Guidestones. You know, I went out there. They're way out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, you got to drive like 2 hours off, you know, way out into the chicken raising country, and then it's way up on this. But I went with my parents. We were going out of the Atlanta airport. I was going to fly out, and I said, "Hey, there's Georgia Guidestones. We go check them out." And yeah, my dad was like, "Yeah, okay, I've heard about these things. Let's go look at them." And when we got there, yeah, my mom freaked. She's like, my lips are becoming numb. We got to get out of here. I really feel bad. It's on a negative energy portal for sure. And I think that 500 million is after the chaos. I think they're going to, I don't know if they're going to pull the triggers and line people up against the walls, but we're sure not being warned about this grand solar minimum. So is it they're going to let nature take its course? By not warning us, and then whoever's left over at the end, you're the ones who are supposed to survive anyway, because you were the preppers. You're the ones that saw through the BS and the brainwashing about CO2. And the people who are going to survive are the ones who are going to be ingenious enough to start to come up with solutions on their own outside a centralized system. It's going to be like a DIY society where everything is going to be in flux. And if you can get through that, provide your own solutions. Still, you're going to have to work in groups. You're not going to survive on your own. So imagine a whole community of these people, like the DIY, they can make their own. They made their own medicines, their own foods, their own whatever. They're working together in communities, and they're prepped before because they didn't fall into the brainwashing. So perhaps that's kind of the person I would want to restart the society as well.
Yep.
Would you let it just naturally occur and let it happen, and then whoever's left over, those were the ones to pass through the tribulation, if you will? It's kind of the way I'm looking at it. Is after that 500 million, they're going to cap it at that point. You know, whoever's left, that'll be around 500 million, maybe $1 billion. You know, when we started all this talk about, I envisioned, you know, a loss of 2 billion, but the more we talk about it, these numbers are ridiculous now, because nobody's prepping, no governments are warning anybody, so at least half of the world's population is not going to make it through. So what's not to say that, but, you know, with all the, we're not prepared, we don't know how to repair anything, we just don't know how to do much, and everything's so divided. Perhaps it'll be 3/4 or even more loss.
Well, I have a book that I wrote called The Start, and on defenseone.com, check that out. It's a good website to get good intel. But they had a whole article on this new trend now of weaponizing bio. And I can't help but not think that the potential pandemic situation would be a very, how shall we say, no blood on my hands, so to speak. But look what happened. Oh, we lost 2 billion people. Well, damn.
We can see how that would sweep through so quickly. If people are malnourished and their immune systems are depleted because they don't have enough food, and look through history, every time this happens at a grand solar minimum, plague comes along. They're definitely intertwined. It's all about nutrition. So, I'm always looking at superfoods. Like, can you grow algae? Can you make your own small raceway pond just for your home? Can you grow moringa oleifera? That's another superfood tree that grows really fast in warm climates. They call it the miracle tree. So I'm really superfood focused, like goji berries. Those are really easy to grow as well. Anything that can keep your nutrition up and superfood nutrient coming in.
Excellent. Excellent. This is cool stuff, because this is where I see the counter of it. And when we talk about this in the 16th century, I mean, isn't that when we begin to enter into, I guess, the last mini ice age? Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. 1640 was the official start for the Maunder minimum. And then we can trace back. And if you go back in time and you start to get these marks, 1200 AD, Yuan dynasty collapses in China. Well, look at what happened in Europe as well, entering in from 1200 to 1300 AD. I mean, geez, we talk about plagues again, Black Death running all over the place. Sasha Dobler does a really good job to talk about Black Death and plagues in the 14th century. He talks into the same grand solar minimum reasoning for it. He goes into the myths about arrows from the sky and cosmic bombardment and galactic cosmic rays causing insanity in the society.
I'm telling you.
Drop back to the Tang Dynasty, 800 AD. Same thing. Wherever you look across the planet, it doesn't matter what society in. It doesn't matter if it's emperors, if it's kings and queens, or whatever it might be. Everybody gets the same effect.
This is phenomenal, David. You've given me enough ideas on this one, because it actually begins to correlating in everything that you see. As I see Congress here, I see human beings that should be well educated. They should have a logical part of cognitive understanding, but we're seeing it break down in. I have friends that are in law enforcement, and one's a woman and several are men, but they report to me that they said the public doesn't understand. It's really, as the one gal said to me, she says, Wayne, virtually everyone that we pull over, they're crazy. They're crazy. Is what she says. She says it doesn't make any sense. They become combative. And anyway, I just see this as a continue. Now, you're overseas. Do you see it over there? Is there this level of anger or confusion, or just the inability to cognitively think? I mean, Hong Kong right now
is off the hook, and everywhere you look as well in Asia, people going on in the Philippines. Everybody's frantic down in the Philippines about that. Got Hong Kong clearing off. The king, down in Thailand died, and then his son took over, and then he's ill in health as well. So they got a whole transition of possible military in there. Vietnam's not doing so well. They're trying to transition the economy. A lot of anger and animosity because the split between the haves and the have-nots is going like that, there. So everywhere you're looking around Asia, India is having a very difficult time with its food production. A lot of people are talking about rights in India. The caste system is outdated. So we're starting to get what we start to see in every grand solar minimum as well. It's this throw off of the reins of like these old paradigms or the hierarchies of things that would keep our society set in the strata. So, I mean, just in these countries in Asia right now is what we're seeing over in XingJiang, where they're really rounding those people up. There's no AOC BS, get arrested coming over the border, they put you in a place where you have air conditioning. We're talking about real places where they execute people and put them into such horrendous brainwashing conditions that they literally snap and go insane and they don't come back out. Like they're shaking and functioning at this point where they snap their mental account. They put them in such a duress situation that they're mentally impaired for the rest of their lives. Those camps. That's XingJiang. Again, another growth zone emerging. And I look at it and I'm thinking, all right, Xinjiang is going off where it's coming into a 2,000-year rain cycle. Rivers are running there that haven't run in 2,500 years, 2,000 years. It's becoming a new grow zone as well. But the Uyghurs are going to want that grow zone.
Yeah.
And China's there preemptively getting them in camp so they can't say anything. And when it starts raining, which it is already, they're starting to grow crops, then it's Chinese food grow zone. It's not a Uyghur food grow zone. It's a Chinese food grow zone. You know, you got too much geopolitics and these new rain areas forming, and
we are living in a time, David, like, wow. I mean, we've been gone way over. I haven't even seen the chat room. I've been so engrossed in the conversation. Got a full people in here, and I think that people are really seeing what's happening. And folks, we're not promoting fear here. What we're just trying to say is that these are the facts. These are not made up. They're not hyped. This is the changes that are taking place, David. And as we get wrapped up, I have to get going myself. What do you see, David? I'd like to have you back on, number one. Love to be on your channel. But what do you see coming down, let's say 10 years down the road? In 10 years, we'll be in 2029.
the first thing I'm going to say is it's not fear. You have to find your opportunity. Now, all of what we spoke about tonight, where do you see the opportunity in that? Don't come at it from fear. Think about, wow, a lot of people are going to have a lot of problems that are going to need solved. Like, how can I solve their problems and give the most value to help the most amount of people at this time in your existence and our existence? That's what the way you need to be thinking is, how can I help the most people that will provide the most value, that in turn, protection, food, and enough wealth and resources will come back to me that we don't need to worry about any of the tumultuousness out there in la la land, if you will. If you think that way, you'll be well protected and you will be taken care of. I assure you, you will. Now, when we march forward, this is my timeline, and I've kept this timeline since the inception of my channel, and I shall continue this timeline. This whole year, we're going to have terrible grow conditions. So the prices are really going to rise at the end of the year, especially around Christmas, New Year's, Hanukkah, and all these festivals at the end of the year. Well, when we get into that, people are going to notice the price rises, and maybe they'll talk at the dinner table like, hey, something doesn't seem right. But as we go into next year, 2020, you're definitely going to see more crop losses, colder conditions. You know, they got the coldest. They haven't seen this much cold in cans up in Australia since 1953. It's the coldest it's been. Now, when we come into 2021, this is going to be the great awakening, in my opinion. So as we sit here today and talk about this on the channel, everybody on the planet will know what we're talking about. In earnest, they'll be like, well, those guys were 2 years ahead of the curve there. 2021, the whole world wakes up, and this is where the shift starts to occur. Everybody's going to want the same supplies to prepare at the exact same time. Yeah. So the first, I think, shocks, I think the economy will have very much difficulty long before this. That'll explain away the supply chain disruptions. There's always got to be an excuse for why something's not working right. So if there's a contract, and I'm saying that economy is going to be self-imploded on purpose to stop the population migration, because you can't have 5 billion people, 8 billion people wandering across the planet to new places where they know it's going to be warmer, where they can grow food. They're going to blow up the economy on purpose to stop you. Now, I've always said, when this massive, massive contraction, like new Great Depression comes in, that you have 1 year left before the full-on food shortages start, because that's your marker in time that they're going to lock down the planet so you can't move. And then you're, okay, that's fine. Then you understand that. You're stuck where you are, and most people are going to be locked in where they are. Then the food's going to get really expensive. So our whole thing with timelines and all the people that I talked to in this whole space here, 2023, 24 are when this is when the police state's really going to be needed, because people are going to, maybe even 22. Valentina Zarkova and her whole analysis of what's happening with the sun, as well as John Casey and quite a few others, are saying, you know, by the time we roll around 2028, we're going to be growing a fraction of what we produce today. There will not be anywhere close to being enough food for this planet unless we start to really come up with a lot of creative solutions and work together to get through this, to be able to build new solutions with our better tech to start producing enough food that will feed the planet. Now, there's this greatest need ever in human history. There's more people and everybody eats. Now, we need solutions to still feed 8 billion people when nature stops providing its growth and its nice conditions for us to grow food. The temperate seasons, we understand, you plant at this time, you harvest at this time, that's already going out the window. The seasons are going to be much shortened, and they're not going to be as stable. We're not going to know when to really plant and harvest, because the Like, we're already seeing snows in August up in British Columbia. We already saw snows across Russia. In August, we saw freezes, frosts. This is not normal. This is the indication that we're already getting into these unstable growth seasons. So as we get out to 2029, I really hope as a species we come together to work together to find solutions for this is the biggest problem in human history. This is why I really devote all my time to doing it. There's nothing else left on this planet to even work toward except solving all these problems. This is really why I do what I do, because money is going to be meaningless.
Yeah.
Meaningless.
Yeah. Yep.
So where's the value you can provide? Think about that, and thanks for your time.
Well, you know what? I'll just add a little bit to this, folks. And here's just a little thing. Think about buying nails. Think about buying rope, things that you would not normally think that you would need. But we're talking about a reset, and it's happened before, David, and I think it's going to happen again. I do.
Yeah, look back in history at what were the most tradable items. And one thing, I wrote a new book called Climate Revolution, and we talk about these very same things. I outline everything with my co-author, Bill Porter. The first half of the book is what we just talked about in a written form for 120 pages. The last half of the book is about all the solutions, like how to build a greenhouse. We've got all the design plans in there for everything, X, Y, and Z you could think of. And we hyperlink everything out, so if you want to do more research, you click and it takes you out to the PDF on engineering diagrams to do X, Y, and Z.
Excellent. Now, is that on Amazon? Where can people buy that?
It's not. We self-publish. It's available through KIP, and I can send you the link.
Please do. Please do.
Yeah, but inside the book, what we found was there's something you have to look at called, please look this up, Google it, or DuckDuckGo. I prefer for my search engines. I don't like Google. Yep. But A Year in Hell. This is the account of the Bosnian War for the 1 year when everybody was locked down, actually a year and a half, of what were the most valuable traded items, what ran out first, and how much they were caught off guard. Once you read this account, it will shift the way your perception is of what you need to prep for.
Excellent. Excellent. Will you come back on, David?
Yeah, and I'll have you on as well, and we can just keep this discussion going.
I love that.
Next time we talk, 1,000 new things will have happened.
Let's do that. Folks, I know we went over, but I wanted to get a full hour in the conversation. Thank you and man, there's still a full chat room in there. So, folks, we got places that go. So, David, stay with me as I log off. Thanks, everyone. David's contact in his YouTube channel is down there. He's going to send me the link to the book. I'll update that there. And folks, have yourself a great, strong end of the week, and we'll see you all again on Monday, it looks like. All right, folks, take care. Bye-bye. Thank you, David.